Consumer Reports just released their newest rankings, and 6 SUVs scored so high they're calling them near perfect. And here's the twist. The luxury brands that should dominate reliability didn't even crack the top spots. In fact, the SUV sitting at number 1 is a model most shoppers literally walk right past at the dealership. Before we get there, I'm also going to reveal the one mistake 90% of buyers make that costs them thousands in depreciation, extended warranties, and repair bills once these SUVs hit 50,000 miles. And there's a pattern hidden in all 6 models that explains why some last 200,000 miles while others blow up at 50,000 miles. Today, we're counting down 6 SUVs that prove reliability isn't luck, it's engineered. And stick around, because number 1 shocked every critic, every reviewer, and resurrected an entire brand with a staggering 97 reliability score. Starting at number 6, we have the Subaru Outback Wilderness. Consumer Reports slapped a 93 on this SUV, but honestly, no number can capture what it went through. This thing isn't reliable. It's indestructible. It survived 127-degree heat in Death Valley, minus 40 blizzards in Alaska, and off-road punishment so brutal it destroys most vehicles in a matter of hours. The Outback didn't even flinch. Subaru used to be haunted by those old head gasket failures. But Subaru rebuilt the entire block from the ground up, changed the metallurgy, redesigned the sealing tech, and now every single engine is tested for 200 straight hours before it goes into a vehicle. Not one in a batch. Every engine. That alone tells you they weren't playing around. What makes this SUV so durable is actually what Subaru removed. They ditched the electronic parking brake, skipped the sensor-loaded power liftgate, and simplified the systems that usually cause headaches at 60,000 miles. Fewer parts means fewer failures, and you feel that philosophy everywhere in this vehicle. The underbody protection is real steel, not decorative plastic. The suspension components look oversized for the weight class, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's built like they expect people to actually use it in the real world, not just pose in the REI parking lot. From a financial standpoint, it's just as impressive. The Outback Wilderness holds about 72% of its value after 3 years. That's higher than some luxury SUVs trying to justify double the price. When a vehicle is this tough and this simple, buyers know it, and the resale prices reflect that. At number 5, we have the Lexus NX 350h. This SUV has way too much tech, so why does it rank near perfect? Consumer Reports gave the Lexus NX 350h an unbelievable 94. And honestly, if you look at the features, it shouldn't even be close to that high. This thing is loaded with adaptive suspension that adjusts hundreds of times per second, digital side mirrors, a touchpad that actually works, mood lighting with more colors than a Vegas hotel lobby, and enough electronics to scare most mechanics. By all logic, this SUV should be a rolling software glitch. But here's the twist. Lexus didn't rush it. They delayed the launch for 11 full months just to fix 17 potential failure points they found during pre-production. They literally rebuilt entire systems before the public ever saw the vehicle. So when the NX 350h finally hit showrooms, it wasn't a first-generation product at all. It was the second generation of a model that technically never had a first. Then there's the hybrid system. Lexus didn't borrow the technology from their regular lineup. They took components from Toyota's Industrial Equipment division, the same systems used in forklifts and warehouse machines that run non-stop all day, every day for years. That's why the NX 350h not only delivers 39 miles per gallon, but also accelerates faster than the non-hybrid version, hitting 60 inches just 6.8 seconds. Inside, the NX feels more baby LS than compact crossover. The semi-aniline leather, the reinforced stitching, the composite materials that don't crack or off-gas in extreme weather. It's a luxury cabin that ages gracefully. And here's the part that dealers quietly hate. Lexus sells this SUV with an unusually low markup because they want to steal market share directly from German competitors. At number 4 is the Toyota Highlander Hybrid. 3-row SUVs usually break early, but this one became the exception. Consumer Reports gave the Toyota Highlander Hybrid a staggering 96. And honestly, once you understand how Toyota built this thing, that number almost feels low. Instead of chasing flashy new technology or reinventing the wheel, Toyota did something far smarter. They simply scaled up the proven hybrid systems from the Prius and the Camry, powertrains that have millions of real-world miles behind them. No experimental parts, no new for this year engineering risks, just rock-solid components refined for decades. And the result is nothing short of incredible. We're now 4 years into this generation of the Highlander hybrid, and there still isn't a single significant pattern of failure. Check the complaints, check the forums, check the recall history. It's practically empty. That's unheard of for any three-row SUV, especially one carrying the electrical load and mechanical stress of a hybrid system. Part of the secret is Toyota's obsessive quality control. Every Highlander hybrid goes through 847 separate tests before it ever leaves the factory. And I'm not talking about someone eyeballing a panel gap with a clipboard. I'm talking real diagnostic sweeps, calibrated pressure testing, seal inspections measured down to the millimeter. Toyota treats this thing like a long-term science experiment, not an assembly line product. Financially, the Highlander hybrid is just as impressive. Most three-row SUVs fall off a depreciation cliff and lose 45% of their value in 3 years. This one holds around 70%. Imagine paying $50 grand for a family hauler and still having $35,000 in resale value after a few years. That's the kind of math that turns car ownership from a money pit into a smart investment. And all this while delivering 35 miles per gallon, seating for 8, and towing up to 5,000 pounds. Coming in at number 3 is the Honda CR-V Hybrid. This SUV is the definition of quiet excellence. Nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just bulletproof engineering wrapped in a family-friendly package. Consumer Reports gave it one of the highest reliability scores in its segment. And honestly, that didn't surprise me at all. Honda took the hybrid system they'd been refining for more than a decade and built this powertrain like they expected to hit 250,000 miles without breaking a sweat. What makes the CR-V hybrid special is how absurdly consistent it is. Owners are reporting 0 major failures through the first several years of production. No hybrid battery degradation, no random electrical gremlins, and no transmission disasters. The electric motor assist smooths out the acceleration. The eCVT doesn't behave like those rubber band CVTs that give you a migraine. And the gas engine barely works unless you're climbing mountains. But here's the part that mechanics appreciate. Honda kept the design simple. No overly complicated sensors. No gimmick features that break at 60,000 miles. No fragile air suspension. Just a well-balanced blend of reliability and efficiency. Fuel economy sits in the mid-40 seconds without even trying, which means this SUV pays for itself long before the warranty expires. The interior is classic Honda. Durable materials, clean ergonomics, and 0 drama. Nothing rattles, nothing squeaks, nothing fades prematurely. The resale value mirrors Toyota territory, hovering around 68 to 70% after 3 years, which makes this one of the cheapest SUVs in America to own long-term. If the NX 350h is the tech-heavy luxury hybrid, and the Highlander hybrid is the three-row efficiency king, the CR-V hybrid is the quiet operator that just works. At number 2, we have the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. This SUV is the quiet workhorse everyone forgets to mention until they sit down with the reliability data, and then the whole room goes silent. Consumer Reports consistently ranks the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid as one of the most reliable vehicles sold in America, and the numbers back it up. 4 years into its production cycle, and there still isn't a single repeating pattern of significant mechanical failures. No hybrid battery complaints, no inverter issues, no transmission disasters, just boring, predictable durability, the kind mechanics secretly love. What makes this SUV so unstoppable is the powertrain. Toyota didn't design it for hype or acceleration numbers. They designed it to run forever. The hybrid system is pulled straight from Toyota's global parts bin of bulletproof architecture. The same DNA used in taxis, delivery vehicles, and commercial hybrids overseas that rack up 300,000 miles like it's a warm-up lap. Owners regularly report fuel economy in the mid-40 seconds, even when the vehicle is loaded with gear, pets, or family chaos. And unlike some of its rivals, the hybrid system barely degrades. I've seen RAV4 hybrids with 150,000 miles still returning the same mileage they did when they left the dealership. And the financial picture is just as insane. The RAV4 Hybrid holds around 70% of its value after 3 years, putting it right next to the Highlander Hybrid and embarrassing half the luxury segment. You're essentially paying mainstream prices for a vehicle that behaves like a long-term investment. Inside, it's classic Toyota. Tough fabrics, intuitive controls, and absolutely nothing gimmicky that will break at 60,000 miles. Taking the top spot is the Acura MDX. Acura was on life support. Then the MDX shocked everyone. Consumer Reports hit it with a 97, a score usually reserved for vehicles that basically refuse to brake. And here's what caught me completely off guard. This isn't a fancier Honda Pilot. It shares a platform, sure, but the engineering underneath couldn't be more different. Acura rebuilt everything that matters. The suspension geometry, the electronics architecture, the insulation, like they were trying to prove something to the entire luxury segment. The first time you drive one, you can feel it immediately. The acoustic insulation isn't just thick, it's everywhere. The doors, the floor, the roof, every inch stuffed with materials designed to kill road noise before it even has a chance to reach the cabin. The electronics are refined and surprisingly trouble-free, which is something I can't say for half the German SUVs I see in service bays. And the chassis tuning, this is where Acura went all in. They spent 24 months perfecting the suspension. 2 years. Most manufacturers spend 6 months and call it a day. Acura wasn't satisfied until this thing rode like a luxury sedan and handled like it weighed half as much as it does. But what really blows owners away is how little maintenance the MDX needs. You bring it in for oil changes, tire rotations, and that's basically it. Service departments actually created reminder programs because people were forgetting the SUV even needed attention. That's how painless the ownership is. Acura was so confident in what they built that they voluntarily extended the powertrain warranty to 6 years or 70,000 miles. Not as damage control, but as a flex. It's comfortable, quiet, incredibly stable at speed. And the third row is actually usable. Not a punishment seat, not a cramped emergency bench. A real functional space adults can sit in without feeling like they're folding themselves into carry-on luggage. These 6 SUVs prove something the industry never wants you to figure out. Reliability isn't an accident. It isn't luck. It's engineered. The brands that land at the top of these Consumer Reports rankings don't get there by chasing gimmicks, touchscreen trends, or fancy lease deals. They get there by building vehicles that stay solid at 100,000 miles, not just shiny at 10,000. Smart money buys engineering, not branding. So tell me in the comments which one surprised you the most, and which one are you thinking about adding to your driveway? Hit that like button if this helped you dodge a bad purchase. And subscribe, because I break down every major reliability update the automakers wish you'd ignore.